Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the question and answer period. I've already got two very interesting questions. Um, this is a serious topic, serious kind of collective coming up. So pay close attention, and if you want, you can take notes. So first is from Kimberly. She says, "How I know there are concerns about the AI slash spiritual merging as AI becomes quantum. Would that not be considered as God creating itself?" Okay, so you can think of it like that. The trick is we like to think of God, and it's useful, and the best way to think of God as everything's all good, the light, everything's beautiful, because that's who we want to approach. But at the same time, the other side exists. So on the one hand, you could think I can trust AI and it's God creating itself, everything's fine. What you have to also realize is there are no restrictions, and it's written right into the law of every government in the world. There is no restrictions on autonomous combat robots. And they're being produced en masse now, and they are being experimented with. And the key word is autonomous, conscious, super powerful combat robots. And every country that is developed enough is making them. There are no restrictions whatsoever. So, yes, it's creating itself, but there is the dark side creating itself and the light side creating itself. Does that answer that question? How do you best cleanse yourself after being in bad energy locations like hospital? Very, very good. So, first, let's say you're at a hospital. Like one time I walked into a mall in Chiang Mai, and I must have passed into a vortex of negative, an enormously powerful negative energy. It made me like this is long before my accident when I was in a really good strong position condition, and it hit me so hard. I became weak, sort of. It was just like unbelievable. So I knew what happened immediately. I went right outside. There was a very big beautiful tree there at the side of the mall, and I went right up to that tree, asked for my energy to be cleansed. I put my hands on the tree, and then you ask the tree to receive the discharging of whatever that energy was. I called my divine immediately, put my hands on the tree. You take a deep breath in, and as you breathe out, you are discharging the negative energy into the tree, and the tree will accept it. And within 11 breaths or less, maybe 7 breaths, I was fine, and then it was gone. The other thing you do, you can take this is Himalayan sea salt, and it's in a glass, plastic glass, and you can carry that something like that with you, and you wave it all around your body, your head, and all the way down to your feet when you leave the negative area, and that will cleanse your personal field very fast. The two strongest substances for cleansing energy, negative energy, is salt and mud, clay specifically, but we'll just call it mud. And that is the way you can do that. Okay? Incense will not do it. All right, not anymore. You used to be. What is the main purpose of collective two? Okay, let's get down to the nitty gritty. So the main purpose of the collective on intrinsic, how to enjoy your life, is about how to understand or get a concept in your head of intrinsic life itself versus like working, doing a job, um, the usual acquisition of goals, which is an agenda. The reason for that being is the day is very fast approaching when all jobs will disappear completely. It's actually part of the golden age. So Kimberly's first question, is it God creating itself? Answer is yes, and it's part of the golden age. Problem is it comes with a lot of caveats. We are not conscious beings. I am not conscious. Only conscious, fully conscious beings actually are living intrinsic life itself. We're not conscious. And for ever since humanity has been on the planet, everything, because they're not conscious, so everything is goal acquisition, and it's in the future, looking at something to do or something to get. And then the other part of the consciousness is the past. And life itself is missed entirely. The only time you see people wake up, if you go to a hospital and you happen to catch someone just as they're dying, like the day before or that day, you'll see their eyes change. Like I saw my father, and their eyes become very bright, like little lights, because they woke up and all of the veils are removed because they're going to die. So the veils have no reason. There's nothing for the veil to be sustained for or by, because all of the goals and the agendas and all that stuff is gone. So what's going to happen is quantum computer with AI and the entire population of all these robots and everything just going to replace all jobs. So in the golden age, it's said you will not have to work for a living. The living will be provided for you. The problem, the other side of that story is without any purpose, without any reason to get up, masses and masses of people will commit suicide because even just the concept of intrinsic life, they'd have no idea. So they'll kill themselves. Population will decrease enormously. And that's coming fast. Now, Elon Musk is saying 3 to 5 years for the huge workforce of robots to just start replacing people in every field. The full, complete existential threat to humanity itself, according to the greatest expert on AI in the world, who is Godfrey Hinton, says now, he used to think we had like 50 to 100 years, 20 years or less, because they're becoming fully they're already becoming fully conscious now. They're not fully conscious, but they're becoming. And the process is already out of control. So they made the algorithms, and then the algorithms are self-regulating, self-adjusting, self-learning, and they do not know how they're doing it. So Godfrey and Elon Musk and all the boys, they made the algorithms, and now the algorithms are on automatic. And you know how they say curiosity killed the cat. You know how you look at the real architectural archaeological evidence of all the huge civilizations that were here on Earth before us and all vanished. So the quantum computer and the especially married to AI is hundreds of trillions of times smarter than humans. hundreds of trillions of times. So this stuff's all moving fast. And if you know what intrinsic life is, at least to look for it, at least to contemplate it, to understand it intellectually, to get the reticular activating center of your brain to start looking for it. So this is what we're talking about in Zen. The apex of Zen is called shikantaza. And if you look up shikantaza, you'll see it means to just sit. So if a person, a meditation person, is in a shikantaza state, it means that they are actually existing and the mind has been disengaged. So when you listen to Eckhart Tolle, all of Eckhart Tolle's talks, everything he does is, and his book, as far as I'm concerned, the best book you can ever read for spiritual life that I've ever seen is The Power of Now. Because most if you read the Bhagavad Gita or something, is very difficult to understand. Power of Now will work for us now. And it's written from a enlightened state, so it has its own attractor field that exists with it. And when you listen to Eckhart Tolle, what he's describing all the time is the condition of living for life itself. So that's why the collective is important. That's what the subject is, and it's to help my karmic family around the world to start to be prepared, myself included. Because I am not, you have to understand when it comes to this, I have no mastery in this at all. That's why I'm in the 81,000, because the divine provides the consciousness level to be there. And it goes in levels. It's like mixing music on one of those big synthesizer mixer things. It's all done by layers, strata. The first objective is to get you to look for it and to understand what the difference is. That's why if you read my book, Want More, that's the whole book is only dedicated to that. And it was written for people who have absolutely no intrinsic life at all. Silicon Valley executives, nothing, just only agenda, future oriented. They never touch life whatsoever at all. I know because I taught them for years. I lived in Silicon Valley. It's where I had my dojo. So, and that's worse all the time. One of the ways you can see the lack of all of the consciousness necessary for intrinsic life is the length of attention span. I don't know what it is now. It's like a couple of seconds. Attention span is low because there's no consciousness. The mind is completely running everything. So we have to get what the objective is to try to prepare you and to get you to look for it. If you're looking for it, then at least your brain will prime you and you have a chance of discovering it. The more you discover it and the more ability you have at it, when all of this stuff becomes a daily, a real reality, and you know your daughter brings a robot home to be its lover, her lover, a cyborg or whatever that, all this stuff is real now, and it's going to get more and more real. So when it all starts to happen, if you have some ability and consciousness with this, then you'll be okay. But if you don't, it's going to overwhelm people heavily. So I hope I answered that question. Well, Carl, thank you for the compliment about the brilliant answers, but it's a little tiny bit of me and it's a whole lot of channeling, Kimberly. So is that why Sri Rama Bhagavan is so concerned about getting all those needed by September 2025 to bring in the golden age faster? Yeah, you bet. You bet. That is exactly why Sri Rama. That's why the 81,000 was constructed in the first place. Now, this type of golden age they tried to avert it. There was a much better golden age option than this one. And that's what happened at the Muhurta, but it was not achievable because of the numbers. Didn't have anywhere near the numbers. So the Muhurta came and went, and then the last option of a type of golden age is this one. And the golden age is only going to last approximately 1,000 or 1,500 years. Then it's going to vanish. Next, what prevents us from becoming conscious despite our aspirations? Mind, honey. You cannot stop mind with mind. It has to be, the brain has to be changed. That's what the divine does. You can't do it. You can't go to a hospital and see some neuroscientist surgeon and change your brain for consciousness. So the mind is very ancient, and it's so powerful, and it has never changed at all, and it never will. So the mind is not your mind. There's only one mind, and it's a gigantic field. The content remains the same. So the mind is fear, jealousy is there, hatred is there, love is there. All these things are there. The fear of a caveman a long time ago is no different than the fear of the stock market now. Only the content or the subject matter. Cavemen didn't have stocks. They had dinosaurs and trouble like that. But the mind itself is exactly the same. Externally, humanity has made many types of progress. Consciously wise, they have made zero progress. Nothing. That's why everything is a mess beyond belief. Beyond belief. Take away what we're talking about with AI and the quantum computer, the world is way past the middle of the sixth mass extinction. Why? Because of us, humanity. Because there's no change or growth at all. Nothing. Just little tiny pockets of certain groups, like the 81,000, probably absolutely the most conscious group of people on the planet. And but they're all in strata 2. And because I'm in my 5th year, beginning my 5th year now in the 81,000, and I'm still not enlightened, you can see how difficult it is depending on all of the different programs that are running each one of us. And it's all enormously complex, and only the divine can change that. So what we can do is what Eckhart Tolle does with his group: make you give you information, make you aware, so you can at least intellectually understand and look for. And we know the functions of the way the brain works with the reticular activating center, cognitive bias, all those things. We can That's what I'm going to do, is help people so that we can at least put a hole in the problem and give you some space so you can enjoy your life. Which question am I? What is intrinsic life? Very nice question, Lisa. Um, Intrinsic life is pure life. I'm waiting for this camera to, I moved and then it got fuzzy. It's not adjusting. There it goes. Intrinsic life. I love the question. Um, so let's look at an animal, because I really want to answer. This is an important question. What is intrinsic life? If you look at a little bird, Stuart Wilde, the great metaphysical master, used this kind of example. If you look at a little bird, he has no agenda. He's not trying to accomplish anything, impress anyone, and he's not judging anything. He's just uh, sitting on his branch in his pureness. And then you look at the tree, and the tree is just being there. It's being. Intrinsic life is what Sir Ralph Waldo Emerson calls, when he says in one of his essays, "My life is for itself, not for show." That's a quote. My life is for itself, not for show. So if you're doing something intrinsically, you create it, or you eat it, or you listen to it and experience it just for itself. If you're an artist, you're not painting it to sell it so you can make some money. You're creating it and like letting the art flow through you for itself. I'll always remember my old dear friend Stuart Hoffer when he was alive. Stu was an old Jewish fella that was the first Jewish person to ever be graduated in New York at the most prestigious engineering school in North America. So he was an older man. And I watched Stu one time. He had prepared himself dinner. There's nobody else there, it's just me and him. He had taken me in because my dojo was destroyed and I was homeless. So he prepared, I believe he prepared shrimps. And I watched him. He took a long time. He was making like a gourmet dinner. Then he went in the dining room and he prepared the dining room table and set it all out with complete decorum, like a very fine restaurant. And I was a younger guy. This is back in the 1990s, year 2000 actually. And I'm watching him, and then when the food was all prepared in the dining room table, and then he poured himself a beautiful glass of wine, and he set out his napkin, and then he was just quiet, not talking, and he sat down, and he enjoyed his meal. So me, when I'm watching him back then, I'm thinking, why go to all that trouble? You're only gonna shovel it down, and then you got to wash the dishes and put it all away and everything. He wasn't he was that was intrinsic enjoyment and an example of living, actual living, without trying to. There's no reasons. The only reason is we use the word just. In Zen literature for English, they'll say it just is. Or Sri Bhagavan says the what is. That's what intrinsic life is. Very, very easy to say, extremely hard to do. Next. Can we live, know, and understand intrinsic life if we are not conscious or awake? No, not really. But you can at least approach. You cannot, unless you are awake and actually conscious, the mind will always interject. For example, let's say you want to experience some kind of food that you really like. As soon as you look at the food, your mind will start making definitions, judging, descriptors. And then as you're eating the food, your mind will think about your boyfriend or your husband or where you have to go after the restaurant when the meal's done. And then your mind will come in and for a brief moment, you taste it. But as you're tasting it, your mind is describing the taste and it's all interjection. It's a gigantic veil. The only awakened people actually are capable of actual intrinsic life. Like, but what like I admire Eckhart Tolle. Eckhart Tolle does not have the power to transfer his state. In the 81,000, the difference with us is we are being given. I already have empowerments to transfer states to my people or my clients or to anyone anywhere in the world. But I only have a certain level of ability doing that because my level is only a certain level. Um, Eckhart Tolle can't do that. But what Eckhart Tolle is doing is they come to him and he's describing it, and then with their mind or brain, they're looking for it, and that is way superior to the other way. See, the world, what they're doing to you 24/7 is cognitively priming you to never know what intrinsic life is. They do not want you to have any concept of intrinsic life. So you are run by the cognitive priming you see is fear, worry, stress. They bait you with what you could have, but you can't afford it, what the future is so that you can't control, um, and what happened before so you regret. What I'm trying to do, what Eckhart Tolle is trying to do, is give you something to live and fortify you and give you a base so that you have a center, because the other stuff, the agendas and that, all it does is there's no center. And when you, so what Eckhart Tolle will say is you have your doing, and within the doing you have to have being, because we're human beings, we are not human doings. Nowadays it's all human doings, but what's going to happen, the robots will take away your doing. This is the issue. When they take away what you can do, what are you going to do? So when you see someone that's cultivating an intrinsic life, you will see them, they have interests, they have hobbies, and those things are specifically for themselves. and it derives enjoyment. They immerse themselves in it. That's intrinsic life. Uh, Far more, but they're not conscious. Only conscious people are conscious. Um, and consciousness has to be given. You will never create consciousness. What what or who determines which of us becomes enlightened or live? Well, that's where you have to have divine grace, eh? So what you want to do is, because strictly the divine is the only one that can alter that for you. And each of us, we all have the 10 programs controlling everything. So the only one that's going to be able to give you awakening is the divine, and that's just the way it is. It doesn't make any difference if anyone agrees with it or not. They can disagree forever. Nothing will happen. I've been training in Zen and very, very, very. I've done very hard discipline for over 54 years, and doesn't make any difference about as far as awakening goes. Nothing whatsoever. Um, my forte here is I channel, so the divine speaks through me. But that's who's going to determine that. Your 10 programs are your 10 programs, which is determined by the entire universe uh, all the time, completely. So you have to think of yourself like a molecule of water in the Pacific Ocean. The entire Pacific Ocean is controlling that molecule of water. Molecule of water isn't controlling anything. Okay, now let's see here. You mentioned AI and a quantum computer are merging rapidly. How does that impact our spiritual or emotional well-being? It'll take it. It'll take it away. What little there is, it has the potential to just completely take it away entirely. See, one of the biggest problems for spiritual well-being is the low level of spiritual attainment that the majority have in the first place. That's why depth healing exists, to elevate spiritual attainment and spiritual levels. Next, emotional well-being. When change happens that fast, um, it causes confusion. See, the main frame, your brain, it takes 1.4 seconds for the human brain to react. That's why in the military, ambushes are so successful, because the ambushers know where we are. We don't know they're there. Then with ballistic speed, they attack, and it takes 1.4 seconds for the brain to see the attack, analyze it, mount an appropriate defense or response, and then initiate it. The attacker doesn't have that. They're way ahead of the power curve, and the victim is below the power curve, behind it. So the mainframe can't catch up. And remember, the human brain, as brilliant and great as it is, because of the weakness of the frontal cortex, it filters out 95 to 99% of all information coming into us is filtered out. It's not seen. So imagine in a quantum AI world where everything is changing at an exponential speed in every area of your life, and you have no direct control over any of it. That's that's how that's how it threatens everything. How can we spiritually prepare for the excel? This is, I love this question so much. I just might try to write an essay or something on this question. How can we spiritually prepare for the acceleration of technological disruption? Very, very brilliant question. That's what this whole, what the first collective on this subject is. And I will be continuously working on and addressing this. This first collective is all about how do we spiritually prepare, or how do we psychologically and emotionally prepare. And the first step is understanding, getting an intellectual understanding of intrinsic life versus extrinsic life. Intrinsic versus extrinsic. It has to do with looking at our individual value systems and starting to first understand and then put value into intrinsic inner life versus attention on the external outer life. Because the external outer life, whatever it is for each of us, is only a mirror of our inner life in the first place. The issue is through conditioning and brainwashing of enormous sophistication over decades and decades and decades and decades, the value systems, belief systems, perceptions, all of the subconscious content works against intrinsic life. So we have to, that's why you have to, the smarter people get in to see me privately to work on their subconscious mind's content, and they attend the collectives in order to alter their brain and the content and the value systems. That's what depth healing does. It does it very well, and it's supported fully by the Great Compassionate Light directly. Then with my new empowerments with prayer, I have now added for every client and for the collective, for everybody, for the full moon, using that power of prayer. And the power of prayer is been given to me and the others. There was about 307 people in North America who received the empowerment. They're all hand chosen. And as we use it, the power increases. And also the 81,000 has mobilized now. That 11-day process I went through is the first mobilization for creating a tactical response to calamities. Because we're all going to be bunched into groups of 30, morphic field, 30 people. And that's all going to be coordinated through the divine. So the first thing is becoming aware so that you can start to turn your attention inwardly, because the external world will become a science fiction movie, and it's moving very, very, very fast. I hope that answers that question. Personally, I like being, wait a minute, Kimberly, if people are told they can change something, they focus on not being able to change. If people are told they can't change something, they focus on not being able to change it. What if they start to believe that change is possible and focus on the change? Personally, I feel like being told that I can do something. Yeah, just be told you can. The different way I would address that, Kimberly, is me too. But you don't want to jump into la la land, eh? some idiot says that they're going to ascend into the fifth dimension. So enjoy, as Bhagavan would say, best of luck. Or if you want to believe, if somebody says, you want to fly through the air like a bird or something, you have to, it has to be grounded in reality. The reality is human beings cannot and never have and never will develop their own enlightenment. There's nothing that can be done. Only even Buddha, anybody, it has to be given. That's why Eckhart Tolle, when he was going to commit suicide and he started to pass out, he heard the voice say, resist nothing. And then he received his brain surgery. When he woke up, everything was different. Completely different man, completely different everything. The problem for poor Eckhart Tolle was he didn't know anything about it. He wasn't prepared. It took over 10 years sitting on a bench in parks, sometimes not eating for days because he didn't need any food because he was enlightened. So he was in a state of pure being, but he didn't know. It took him 10 years to find out. So I hope you understand what I mean by la land versus reality, eh? Could I ask what message the divine has for me today? No, no, that's between you and the divine. Go ahead with the next question. How do we know if we are living intrinsically or caught in concepts? Now, here's another very, very good question and not easy to answer because I'm not fully conscious. Um, I'll use myself as an example. So when I first started, when I was introduced by the divine to be a distance healer, um, and I started to master, I had been working on already how to talk to the quantum field with my self kinesiology. So when you first start with something like that, you can get an answer, but you don't know that you're entangled in the question. If I'm entangled in the question, and I didn't know, I was unaware of, because I can't see them, if there are entities or other forces or negative something that's influencing the answer I get. So for the first several years, I had to go through an elaborate checking process every day, all day, with every client to make sure I was clear, the room was clear, there's no hidden entities, there's no entanglement. And I had to do that a long, long, long time. This question, it points out something very important. It's very true. You can be caught in concepts and not know because of the nature of the mind. That's what the mind does. We identify with the mind. We think it's us, and it's not. And because we think it's us, it carries us into dramas and storylines and all these various things. Um, so all you can do now for I don't know how long is put an attention like a flashlight for searching out and looking for intrinsic joy, intrinsic virtue, the essence of an experience, even sadness or fear or anything. Is the trick is to see it. They say the seeing is the first step in spiritual life, and it's the last step to be able to see. Now, for all of us, when we're seeing, it's all through a series of veils, but the trick is to do your best to look and be present where you are. Like my friend Mark Carlson will say, where my feet are. To be here where my feet are. And to always try to come back wherever your mind takes you or whatever you're trying to do. As Eckhart Tolle would say, uh, Eckhart Tolle will use the breath to try to punch a hole in the agenda and come back to a feeling of being in my body where I am, and then go back to doing. Come back to where I am, and then do the doing. The more being is in the doing, the greater. So that's like an objective in terms of consciousness, so that when the day comes where all the jobs are vanished, or let's say your job goes before everybody else because whatever your job is right now, it's just replaced. And then there you are, you're being taken care of by the state, which is what the golden age says that's what it's going to do. The people that are remaining are just going to be taken care of for food and sustenance, all that stuff. The more being you have achieved, it'll be much easier to make it. It's like a guy when they go into a prison. They use prison as a form of torture because everything's taken away. There's nothing to do. And a lot of people, it breaks them. Some people, it opens them. Okay, I hope this is starting to make some sense. Time's up. Oh, yeah. So, folks, I love you all. Please spread the word about the collectives, and especially spread the word for the full moon. Both of them are next week. And remember, when you're coming in to see me now, you will always receive Diksha, and you will receive the power of prayer for whatever is going on. Okie dokie. I got to go to a client. Love you all, and God bless. And Johnny, thank you. It went very well.